Great to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you, Dave.
Fantastic work.
Thanks, man.
You really wanted to work with Tim Burton,
Yeah.
I read.
Yeah.
So that's true.
Yeah, no-brainer. I mean, he's brilliant. He's beautiful. The worlds he creates and how he transports you immediately into whatever he's presenting is like, he has an ability that very few filmmakers have. And there's also just such heart at the centre of all his work. Amongst the awkwardness and the otherness of the characters that he presents, there's just this heart, this vulnerability, this beauty I find in his work. So ever since Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice, Ed Wood, Ed Scissorhands, I mean, just...
Which I had read that was the first movie that introduced you to Tim Burton, because that was the one that
It was
introduced
actually Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Was it really?
Yeah, I just forgot that he made it. I mean, he's so brilliant that you can forget something as brilliant an experience as the experience I had watching Pee-wee's Big Adventure was. I could even forget that because he's got so many films that meant so much to me. But Pee-wee's Big Adventure was the first one I saw. My brother showed it to me, and then I think it was in order of his canon: Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands. Edward Scissorhands is the favourite film of my youngest boy. Yeah.
I love Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
You know what? I hadn't even realized that he did Pee-wee's, as you just said that.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Mad. Yeah, he directed Pee-wee's. It was his first film.
So then Pee-wee would be mine as well.
Yeah, well, there you go. Which I loved, Pee-wee's Big
It's
Adventure.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
I should see that again.
Tell me about the difficulty. I'm not giving anything away, but your character has a physical challenge.
Yes.
Was it difficult to film scenes with that in play?
I mean, the difficulty that I was aware of always wearing, apart from just physically not using that part of my body, was just a more emotional and psychological consequence of. But it was all kind of mixed in together. The character I was playing is dealing with a lot. He's lost his wife while he was away fighting in the First War. He's trying to contend with now being a single parent and deal with these two children who have grown up while he's been gone and who have their own opinions and their own dreams, their own ideas and way of behaving. And he's obviously physically impaired as well. So it was all this kind of this canvas of all these different issues that he was contending with that arrived me at what Holt was going through at the start of the film. And his journey is one of accepting his children, accepting himself, and seeing his limitation not as a limitation at all.
Tell me about the sets. This thing, were you intense at some points? Or
was I intense?
Intense.
What do you mean?
I-N-T-E-N-T.
Yeah.
You're always intense.
Come
no,
on,
you're
man.
not. You're a
Come
nice
on.
guy.
Thank you. I was intense. We were intense. All of us together. At various stages, there was tense everywhere.
Because it's a circus movie, but I didn't know if the
it was
set...
all practical. No, it was all very practical and there they built the most extraordinary sets that I've been on in 20 years, and I've been on a few really incredible sets. Like Alexander, the sets were amazing. Total Recall, the sets were amazing. All that was put in CGI was obviously the little guy at the centre of the film flying around. That was all CGI. But even some of the scenes with Dumbo, when he wasn't airborne, they had stand-ins. They had a model of that was a stand-in, but that was static. It wasn't hugely helpful. What was really helpful was Ed Osmond is an actor who played Dumbo, who's dressed in green spandex from head to toe, and he would, they gave him stilts that elongated his arms, and he would move and come in and nuzzle into you and stuff, and it was really moving what he would do. He was extraordinary to work with. But everything else was there, man. You'd walk onto the set and there was like 8 Ford Model Ts from the early part of the 20th century, a bunch of popcorn and hot dog concession stands, fairground rides everywhere, people on horseback, and this was all inside a building, so it was just a trip. But it was beautiful to go to work on every day.
Do you remember watching the original as a kid?
I didn't watch it as a kid. I didn't see it until months before I flew to London to do this. I hadn't seen it. I just had no reason. I had seen Aristocats and Lady and the Tramp and 101 and Jungle Book, but never this.
Good to see you again.
Nice
Congratulations, you are in Dumbo.
I am.
How does that make you feel? It's a modern Disney classic. You're in it. I'm so jealous of you right now. How does that feel to say something like that?
God, I mean, I can't believe I'm in it too. It's such a kind of a surreal, beautiful story. I saw it last night, and usually, lots of actors, they don't like watching themselves, and I completely forgot I was in it. I was actually really, invested in the movie and got really emotional, and the CGI work is amazing. I really feel for Dumbo, and it's just beautiful work.
I'm glad that you said that you saw it, because that's one of my questions is about that. I want to talk about the flight scenes.
Yeah.
And filming those.
Yeah.
And then the second part of the question is seeing those on screen. But let's talk about filming the flight scenes with Dumbo.
The flight scene. So we kind of like, I was surrounded by green screen, and I was on that kind of weird mechanical bull, like what cowboys used to train on for rodeos.
I'm from Houston, Texas.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We have one in our driveway. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, it's that kind of thing, and it's kind of
Really?
like attached to a very long arm, and you kind of lift it in the air, and it's moving, and it has kind of sharp movement sometimes. It's kind of a weird car. I don't know. It's a mixture between a bull and a car and an elephant. But it's completely surreal to kind of have those wind machines as well. So you really feel sometimes you are flying, or it's just completely crazy and surreal.
So when you see it on screen, now that you've
Yeah.
seen it, how did that make you feel as well? Because you're seeing it with all the images, and Dumbo, of course, is there. What were you thinking? Like going back to when you were filming it, and then seeing yourself play on screen. What did that feel like?
It's fun. I mean, I feel like a little girl. Oh my God, I got to fly Dumbo. It's just magical.
I love your tweets. I follow you on Twitter. But you tweeted, "This is a movie that we need right now," which I agree completely. But I want to ask you, what do you mean by that?
I mean, we live in such a crazy, chaotic world, so it's so wonderful to just have a movie that is about love, about hope, about dreams, that our dreams can become a reality. That's kind of nice.
You've worked with Tim Burton before. That's actually where we met, at Miss Peregrine's, that film. What made this experience special, working with Tim again on this particular film?
God, I mean, it's always special to work with him. He's such a wonderful man, first of all, like a beautiful human being, very delicate, very sensitive, and such a genius. He gave me those roles that are so different. Dark Shadows, tough, crazy witch, woman bird, and now a trapezist. It's just, it's a real gift, and it's a real privilege for sure.
It's so good to see you again.
Very good to see you, Dave.
Tell me how Tim Burton pitched this to you.
Call me up, say, Danny, I'm doing Dumbo. You want to be in it? Tim is one of those guys. We've worked together now 5 times, and we have a good relationship. And basically, I know that no matter what it is, I'm a big fan of Dumbo's. Always was. Disney's original 40s movie. And, but no matter what Tim is up to, I feel like if I'm part of it, I'll have a good time. It's taking a subject like Dumbo and giving it to an artist like Tim and, knock it out of the park, totally exponentially make it more like exciting and, spectacular. So and it's great to see on the big screen. But, everybody will watch this movie, Dumbo. They'll love it. Of course, everybody's going to love this movie. And then they're going to go back, I hope, and look at the 40s movie because it was really beautiful.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was just beautiful, in the 63 minutes that it was.
Yeah, which surprised me when I went back to revisit it before I saw this. I'm like,
Yeah,
it
you
was
didn't
only
know.
an...
It was only an hour.
Yeah, and I'm like, it seems
But
like...
what's really interesting about that is besides the fact that all those values are in there, all the things of all the xenophobia and the kind of other and the being afraid of the other and all that stuff and making the turn to where you have the confidence to live your life like Dumbo does. That's all in that movie. But, like I said, given that little nugget, with all those great intrinsic values to an artist like Tim, and
His magic
it
that he does.
explodes on the screen.
I know we talked last time briefly a little bit about terms of endearment,
Yes.
which Houston, we don't get a lot of movies in
I
Houston.
know. I was down in Houston.
And that movie is just special for us, and you're special
That's
for us.
35 years ago,
I can't believe
Yeah,
that.
I know.
But what I want to ask you is, what is it about acting? I mean, your career, it continues to be just stellar. You've had some incredible roles in your life. What is it about acting that you love so much?
It's sort of very hard to put my finger on that. I mean, I enjoy my work. I enjoy what I do. I like trying to find out how I relate to each of the characters I play. So that's like an interesting journey. See if there's anything in there that's like in your color wheel, your sensibility, and what do you adhere to, and how can you incorporate it?